a hotspot or a flashpoint. And we have a few of them that we'll be dissecting today with the aim of also educating all of us on how to stay safe before, during, and after elections.
Well, the 5 constituencies that I mentioned are from data from the West African Network for Peace Building, but we'll also be engaging with Dr. Adam Bona of Security Warehouse, who will be sharing with us their own findings, what they consider, which constituencies they consider to be hotspots. Plus, we will get into the National Police and the security setup for the entire election for 2024. They're set up. Christian Yali was there. We'll bring him in studio and have that conversation with him. Plus, we'll also get to engage Dr. Stephen Amoah, MP for Inshais. You got to know that a few days ago, he had the occasion to pull out a live ammunition, allegedly. Well, we will talk to him and then find out what occasioned that particular action from him. Plus, there will be some more here, election tips, etc., here on your Election Command Center on Ghana Decides. Welcome to the show, and stick with us, and we'll give you the fine details. So, Helen, we'll zoom straight into the constituencies that we have. We know that we have 276 constituencies going into this election, right?
Yes, absolutely. So think of this as your thermostat, and it's getting hotter as you turn the dial. So you've got that green color, it graduates into an, like a lime green, orange, and then it gets red.
Right.
So it's getting hotter as we turn the dial. So we have...
So those in the green area are the peaceful ones.
Absolutely.
And then as it graduates, they have a bit of attention, but it's okay. Then yellow means that, okay, eyebrows are up.
That's right.
And then when it comes to orange, it means that they're very, very hot. And then red, they are super hot.
That's right.
Don't go there.
Yes. I mean, the likelihood when you get to this part of the thermostats that something will erupt is very high.
Right.
So 57 for the green, it's all right. 53 for the, you know, escalating, but still very calm.
Right.
106 constituencies considered one to watch, like you said. And we have 30, amber, getting close to that hot degree. And then we have 29 constituencies where it really kicks off. It's boiling hot. You can guarantee that something will happen.
And the one-up considered 275 constituencies in the last election. That's the 2020 elections, which is why you see 275. But in this election for 2024, there are 276 constituencies. The brand new Guan constituency, which comprises Santo Kofi, Akpafu, Likpe, and Lolobi, will be participating in this election parliamentarily and presidentially speaking. Helen, let's see the next slide.
All right. So we'll move on to the next slide. And we've also broken down the data. We've given you the breakdown of constituencies, but what does that look like on a regional level? What top 3 regions has the most, shall I say, flashpoints?
Right.
So you see there the northern region has 11 of those hotspots. Yes. And I'm sure that comes as no real surprise to you, given the volatility that we see in the northern region. Also, the Upper East region coming in second as far as the top 3 regions with a lot of flashpoints. 10 of those constituencies, or 10 flashpoints to watch out for. And then you come to the Greater Accra region. 7 of that. And it's important to highlight the Greater Accra region, because I think we often think that this kind of violence is relegated to our rural areas. When we break down the actual flashpoints, you'll also get to know that in the Greater Accra region, we have flashpoints to look out for. 7 of them.
In fact, the Ablekuma Central constituency, where Abdul Latif Dan of the NDC, the incumbent, is facing off with Kwame Nasaki, Jefferson Kwame Nasaki from the presidency on the ticket of the NPP, is considered a flashpoint. In fact, in the 2020 elections, there were some gunshots there. There were military there as well. Our very own Evelyn Tema was there in that constituency. And we have all the visuals and the details there. So these are the breakdown of the regions. 11 in the northern region, 10 in the Upper East region, 7 in the Greater Accra region. Let's get to find out and learn the constituencies that we're talking about in these individual regions. Helen, what do you have?
Absolutely. So again, you see a ranking of sorts with the percentage likelihood that something will happen. So again, it graduates from 81 all the way to 93%. You can pretty much guarantee that something will happen. So let's start off from the least in this particular graph. Yes. And 81, still very high, of course, an 81% chance that something will happen. Then you go to also Gushegu.
Gushegu is up north.
It's up north.
South is in the middle belt, thereabout.
Yes, in the Ahafo region.
That's right.
Yes. And they have their fair share of issues. Gushegu, as you mentioned, in the northern part of Ghana, prone to ethnic clashes, chieftaincy struggles, that sort of thing. Then you come to the Greater Accra region, Ablekuma Central.
Right.
It's very cosmopolitan, so many people will feel like, well, this isn't a place that should see a lot of violence, but it's got a big population, also a big voter population, and you've got a polarization of those that support the two heavyweight parties. That's always going to be a recipe for something quite energetic, if you will. Then you go to Saboba in the northern region. Again, quite similar to what happens in other parts or some parts of the northern region. Chieftaincy clashes, ethnic issues that also crop up to aid or propel the violence sometimes that we see. Then you have Bawku Central, the highest, 93%. And in Bawku, we know that, again, there are issues. I believe that curfew is still in place.
Yes, there's curfew in Bawku as we speak, and that's what I've been talking about and looking out for. For example, we're getting 9 days away from the election. We don't have a clear directive from the Interior Ministry what the plan is, whether the curfew is going to be lifted for them to be able to vote, because obviously once they go out and queue and vote, counting will go deep into the night. What are the arrangements so that nobody gets to look over their shoulders and start thinking that there's something fishy going down? So the authorities, the Interior Ministry, this is the Interior Ministry's call in connection with the election task force led by IGP Dampari and then the Electoral Commission. They have to put their heads together and put out a directive as soon as possible so that people can prepare. I know that there are preparations to get ballot sheets to them, right, in that constituency. We'll get some more into the conversation, but Dr. Doc is joining us. He's a security analyst, and he will join us now on Zoom. Doc, thank you very much indeed for your time. Welcome to Ghana Decides 2024. Hello, Doc. Can you hear me? Good afternoon.
Can you hear me too?
Yes, you're loud and clear all across the world through the power of television on TV3. Ghana Decides welcomes you. Now, Doc, we've been looking at flashpoints going into the 2024 general elections. Only 9 days to go. Should the citizens be worried, in spite of the assurances from the election task force and other security experts, that, well, nothing exceptional could happen if all things go well?
Well, thank you very much. I think for the citizens in general, well, they need to be assured more from the election security task force that so far as their lives are concerned, they will be protected. But however, we see IGP going around dialoguing and then, engaging the stakeholders. But much of what we expect with regards to the flashpoints, we don't know yet. Well, of course, it's not every security preparation that will come out. Right. However, we hope that there has been, as much as they've taken these areas into consideration, there has been a lot of emergency preparations towards handling violence if it occurs in these flash points. The citizens definitely will be worried, but assurances from the head of the election security task force will need to be given to them, especially with regards to the deployment, with regards to logistics, with regards to communication and prompt and reactive responses when it comes to addressing these violence if it should occur.
Doc, the IGP has been talking tough. He's the chief of the security task force for the election. He's been talking tough that nobody will be spared, etc. But we do know also that there's a lot of illicit weapons circulating within the system. Between the IGP's tough talk and the reality on the ground, what should the citizens be doing to protect their own selves, in addition to whatever layer of security the authorities will provide?
Yeah, rightly said. There's a lot of proliferation of small arms and light weapons in the system. Very correct. Now, even you look at what happened at the port a few weeks ago, people are tense, they don't know what is going to happen and all of that. Right. Now, with regards to the citizens themselves, I think now we can only help the security service by, information. We gather the information. There should be a hotline by now. We should know if there isn't, or how to reach, the operational section of the election security task force, right? So that citizens can relay information quickly. I've seen and read about how the IGP has stated there's going to be a reward for those who, election informants. Well, that's the right thing to do. But now, what are the motives? We need to have somewhat hotlines, how people can call. Right. And then for us in general, I think we need more sensitization on how to, adhere to the rules or regulations. Go vote, come home. If you want to observe the counting, there's a distance that you have to be. Right. We shouldn't be engaged in, illegal activities. Right. And then I think this is a collective effort. Of course, the numbers of the police would definitely be, challenged with regards to how they can reach every jurisdiction. And that's why they won't invite the police, they won't invite the military if need be. But for now, I think it's a collective effort. We help them by volunteering information, and then we help them. The aspect of community policing, where we have the community watchdogs also come in, and then they can protect the ballot and protect citizens and lives and property.
Well, I do know also that the issues from the 2020 elections are yet to be resolved. The lives that were lost in that election, the NDC has been asking questions. We're getting ready to sign a peace pact, but they say until those issues are resolved, it will be difficult for them to put pen to paper. The political parties are suspicious of each other. That will trickle down to their supporters and their agents and those who are providing security for the politicians, for want of a better expression. How do we forge forward in the midst of all this confusion?
Well, if it is not too late for those organizing the peace agreement, they should factor in the NDC's, concerns. Because when you want to attain peace or achieve peace, it's a collective effort. All stakeholders, all parties involved in that particular conflict have needs, interests, and wants. And in this case, the needs and the interests and wants of the NDC is to involve certain key figures in the peace pact. If it is doable, I think the organizer should look into it, because this is their concern that they've raised, right? And then you would want to assure them that for the sake of the peace that we are enjoying in Ghana, you will definitely do something about it. Now, let's be cautious with regards to certain key figures who are, associated with the process, issuing our statements. That doesn't order well for the NDC to have a change of mind, but rather to be entrenched in their positions. I've seen articles flying from certain key organizations that if people don't sign the peace pact, they shouldn't be voted for. Now, this will only anger the said party and then make them more entrenched. They will take an entrenched position, and whatever you want to achieve with regards to peace, you're going to have a challenge. So we need to be careful in as much as we want to attain peace. Peace is collective, it's a collective effort. So if you want everybody on board, you must listen to the concerns of each side, not rubbish the concerns of either side, because it is very key. This is what they have seen that is important. How do we, look into it and then employ that diplomatic prevention mechanism to ensure that these people are also involved? And then collectively, you would have that objective met.
Dr. Doke, I want to thank you very much indeed for your time. He's a security analyst. He joined us on Zoom. Now, let's listen to the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare. He is also the chief of our Security Task Force for Election 2024. Listen.
Calm down. It is election, and after the election, there is life. So we shouldn't play it as if it is not me today, then everything should crumble. Where we need to engage, we will engage. Where we need to de-escalate, we will de-escalate. But where we need to be merciless when it comes to the application of law within the context of rule of law, we'll stop at nothing. Only one will win. The rest will not win. In the same way, the 801 vying for a position of 276, only 276 will win. The rest will not win. We need to come to this realization and therefore measure our expectations. As you plan to celebrate your victory, your possible victory, plan also to celebrate your possible defeat.
That was the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare, being joined on Zoom by Dr. Adam Bona. He is the chief servant at the security warehouse. Helen, your favorite friend is on.
He's on, and he's been doing some much-needed work as far as election security is concerned. Dr. Bona, thank you so much for joining us on the program. What have you picked up? What is the intel as far as the 2024 elections are concerned. Do you think the IGP is doing enough to prevent election violence, as it were? Dr. Bono, if you could unmute yourself, we can have your thoughts on this particular issue. We're talking election violence. Okay, I think he's unable to connect with us.
Technology is playing tricks, but interesting thing that the Inspector General of Police said that, look, you prepare for your victory and prepare for your loss as well. So it can only be one winner at a time.
Yeah.
So while you prepare for victory, you might as well prepare for loss so that you're not taking, you're not depressed by your depression, if I can put it that way.
Yeah.
And I think that politicians need to always learn. I mean, they go to the elections with a sure hope that they're going to win. But there are two possibilities. One, you could win, you could lose. And I think it was a good tip from the Inspector General of Police. I'm interested to find out the answer that Dr. Adam Bona would give regarding whether or not the Inspector General of Police and his team, because he's not working alone, he's working with other parasecurity organizations and the military particularly. I don't want a situation where we get to the point where we'll have to bring in the military, because as soon as you bring in the military, it means that you have not been able to put things in control.
That's right.
People are hitting each other, people are tossing things left, right, center, and you want to bring in the military to bring, you know, sanity, instant sanity.
And we know what their core mandate
exactly.
is.
They neutralize.
Exactly.
So at a point when you bring in the military, then you know that all is gone. You're failed. Okay, so I want to learn what exactly, you know, the police has been able to do in order to prevent this. Because you look at the election cycle, right from 1992 through 96, 2000, 2004, 2008, 2012, 2016, and 2020, each year the hotspots or flashpoints keep increasing. We keep talking about it. We put a list out there. Each year, we have some adding onto it. And you ask yourself, what really is going on? What's the motivating factor? Why are people so interested in turning their constituencies into flashpoints? What do they stand to gain from making their constituencies a flashpoint? You know, I want to find out these answers.
Yes.
Particularly from Dr. Adam Bona. Plus, I want to also know what the motivation is for younger people who are particularly used to foment such trouble. How much are they paid? What are they promised?
Are they doing it out of their own volition?
Exactly. Is it love for party, or is just you know, in the glee of the moment to cause mayhem and to inflict pain on other people, or to cause confusion and disrupt the process, and just to say that, okay, in 2020, I was the one who did A, B, C, and D, and go and ask about me and all of that. I'd be curious to learn.
I mean, some parallels have been drawn between the 2020 elections, the kind of briefings we saw when IGP Bawku was in charge, juxtaposing that against what we're seeing IGP Dr. Dampare do at this point in time, in terms of the engagements that he's been involved in terms of all of the other stakeholders, because you know the EC also conduct their own analysis and tests as far as flashpoints and hotspots are concerned. In fact, this year they are scaling it down. We'll find out why that this is happening. Well, security agencies in the Upper East region have intercepted a consignment of bullets headed to Bawku. Now, a man transporting the consignment on a bus has been arrested and taken to the Regional Police Command in Bolgatanga for further investigation. My colleague Castro will be speaking with us, and we know that he's been given the lowdown on the latest. We'll be connecting with him. Castro is on the phone lines. Castro, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon, Aisha.
What can you tell us? What do you know?
Right, Aisha, we understand that, as we speak, the suspect has been picked and sent to the Regional Police Command in Bolgatanga, where he's being interrogated to help him in the apprehension of some other accomplices. We understand that he didn't do this alone. There are some people behind this transportation of the consignment into Bawku. And so the police is interrogating him, hoping that in the following days some arrests will be made.
Right, Castro, so you say it's just one individual that's been picked up, but there's reports that he has accomplices.
Yes, that's what we're getting. I've been speaking to sources within the various security agencies who tell me that, yes, indeed, it is true that the consignment for bullets were intercepted in Binduri at the checkpoint before you enter into Bawku. And then they sent the suspect to Bolgatanga, the police command, the regional police command, for further interrogation. And the police and the other security agencies say they have every reason to believe that the suspect is not doing this alone. He is probably working with other people, and so they are interrogating him to see how best he would help them unveil these faceless individuals so that they face the full rigors of the law.
Well, certainly, but do give us a general outlook of the security situation in the area ahead of the elections.
There hasn't really been much of violence in the Bawku area, to be precise, in the past couple of days. Even though the place is still tense, there hasn't really been reported incidents of violence. Going into the election, the hope is that the place will remain cool so that the voting can take place and people are able to elect the leaders for the next government. The only concern has always been that the security agencies need to increase their numbers on the Bawku, Bolgatanga, Pumankongo Highway, and then the Bolgatanga, Walewale, Tamale Highway. Those have been the calls. Businesswomen, businessmen, and even travelers are concerned that the highways have become, dead zones, very dangerous. And so because of that, the security agencies have to increase the patrols, especially as we are going into a crucial election where everybody is expected to go back to their constituencies and then, exercise their franchise in the election of the new set of leaders. There's also been concerns that, now that there's a curfew in Bawku, and then there is going to be some sort of voting on 7th December, how are residents going to vote? Is it that the government is going to prepare adequate security measures to ensure that residents are able to go and vote, or how is government going to handle the situation? Because there are some who are supposed to vote at the epicenter of the conflict, and they are scared that when they move there, they may end up facing issues they wouldn't want to face. So the general concern has been that government should increase security agencies, personnel on the ground in Bawku, so that people are able to vote on the D-Day. But apart from that, the entirety of the rest of the Upper East region is peaceful. The political parties are going about their campaigns. Both the presidential and then that of the parliamentary candidates are going about their campaigns, especially the parliamentary candidates from Navrongo to Busa South to North, Bolgatanga to Bongo, and all other constituencies. These people are there, both parties, campaigning rigorously to ensure that they are able to win, a seat for themselves or to come out victorious. I shall back to you.
Well, Castro, thank you so much for that update. I know you have your eyes and ears firmly on this situation. We will connect with you later on. Well, that was... I
don't know why Castro Senyola keeps calling you Aisha. You look like Aisha. But he raises some critical points. Answered one of the questions that I had in mind regarding whether or not the people at the epicenter of the conflict will be voting. He says, well, it looks like they'll be voting. They've been conscientized. But as to whether they'll feel secure to come out is another conversation.
Certainly. Let's connect again now with Dr. Adam Bona, security analyst, on this particular issue of flashpoints and hot spots. Dr. Bona, good afternoon to you. Doc, can you hear us? Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
Fantastic. So I know that you and your team have been doing some much-needed work on the ground as far as election security is concerned. Juxtaposing what you see now in 2024 against the last general elections, would you say that we have more or less to worry about?
Well, yes. Good afternoon once again to yourself and Johnny and your viewers. Yes, we, had it not been the measures that the security chiefs have put in place. Mind you, the military, we are told that they are not going to be in frontline elections duties this year. And so that gives some of us some amount of comfort that once the military will not be deployed. The trouble with deployment of the military is that you don't have military personnel stationed all over the country. And so when a military detachment is deployed from Burma camp or Mishra camp or Arakan barracks, wherever, to a certain location, they go there, they commit a lot of atrocities, and no one knows them, and they run back, sometimes unsanctioned election security duties. But this time around, it means that when you see them moving into an area, you are going to either stop them and ask them whether the CDS and then his team and the IGP have requested them to be where they are going to. So I know we are also conducting a survey among security officers, especially, those who are going to be voting on Monday. It tells you a level of anger among security personnel. I think by Saturday, we will publish our data.
Okay.
But I would say that if it hadn't been the measures put in place, the engagement, the massive engagement we are seeing, and the measures put in place, I would say this year's election would have been very bloody. So I take comfort from the fact that a lot of measures have been put in place, and what remains is for us to be careful, especially when the Flashpoint, the data we have collected around the country. Right. We have about 102 Flashpoints, which myself and my team, we collected from all over the country. And we have categorized them according to order of preference, and then, severity of, how severe it could be, and all that.
Right.
And so, yes, to answer you directly.
Right. Now, Dr. Bona, what do you take into consideration when you classify an area as a hotspot or a flashpoint? You say your team have put down some 102 locations.
So we have political polarization. We have history of violence in that area. We have ethnic and religious violence, like we have tensions we have in Bawku and other areas. We have disputed boundaries. If you take Kaswa has a serious issue with boundaries. So some people living in Kaswa don't actually know they live in Kaswa. You cannot tell whether they are in Kaswa or they are in Accra. And so that actually has degenerated in a lot of things happening in Kaswa. Right. And so we should be watching Kaswa. Then the high stakes. Then we have a weak electoral administration. So you have, for instance, the EC chair in the last elections, making 6 pronouncements or more, about 8 pronouncements with as a returning officer for who has won the presidential race. Then you have rhetoric such as, well, whether you win or not, you can go and bend the seat. We will not hand over to you. Then you have security concerns, like we have the police and vigilante groups. And if you are minded, the vigilante act that was passed actually, ensure that these vigilante groups do not work. But most of them are metamorphosed into working registered security organizations. And the number has gone up from the original number of 27 that was captured by the Act to about 72.
That's a very steep increase.
Say that again?
That's a very steep increase.
Yeah, that's a very huge increase. So it tells you the Minister of the National Security and those who are supposed to be updating the list and ensuring Parliament, readjust whatever they've done, have acquired this slept. And so the number is going up and we are all watching.
Right.
And so these are some of the factors we considered. Then when you come to key explanations, we took 1 to 1,000 voter difference. We gave it a 5-star. A 5-star means that the potential for serious violence is high. Then we have 1,000 to 2,000 difference. We gave it a 4-star. It means that it went all the way to 3,000 to 4,000 voter difference. And so beyond that, the tensions usually come down a bit. There are areas where you have someone winning with about 100 or 20 or 66 or 46. Chances are that you would have heard that there is some backing of people, a transfer of illegitimate voters into the area, and all those things. So these are some of the factors we considered in arriving at those areas we have highlighted, 102 flashpoints all over the country.
Now, Doc, for us who are going to the polls, for the Ghanaian citizens going to the polls in some 9 days, what advice do you have as far as personal security is concerned?
Well, the advice I have is that we have been told that when you vote, go home. But I say when you vote, don't go home. Be around the area, but remain calm.
Right.
Don't go home. Be around the area. In any case, there is no curfew. So no one can tell any voter to go home after voting. Mine is that the more we are all vigilant, the chances are for those who want to prevent trouble to stay away, because then when citizens mobilize, no army or security can defeat it. I don't think we are going to be going to the polling centers with knives and cudgels and all that. And so the advice is, as much as possible, let's not stay far away from the voter centers and the collation centers. Even though we are supposed to be calm, the more we are, the better for all of us, so that the story will not be told to you at home. And so mine is, we should be vigilant. Those who want to foment trouble, I have heard about the IGP. They've done so well with whatever they want to do, but I think they need to come up with letting us know those who wear long sleeves, because we know those who would want to steal would pack themselves with, illegitimate voter sheets, polling sheets or whatever they call them. They get into the polling box. They've already some printed. They take them out and they put them in. And so I don't know how. I believe the IGP and his team are listening. What and the EC, but I think this is purely security matter. What is the? I think the IGP should be advising us and the EC officials. When you see someone, do we wear what do you call that, long sleeves to these areas? If no, then we all go in there wearing short sleeves so that you can see my arms. I won't go into the polling box with padded voter registration, some printed ones. I get in there and I take 10 of them and I put in, and the opportunity, because my vote is a secret, the opportunity for anyone to see me is less. So these are some of the things. We should all be vigilant. When you go to the polling station, be watchful of people who are wearing long sleeves, assuming the IGP and the people don't come up with a fiat for how we get there. We should be vigilant of those who are wearing long sleeves, because some of them might be padded. Some of them might be carrying illegitimate voter, some printed ballot sheets. So these are some of the things I think we should be doing. And I expect the political parties to, as much as possible, get their people to the polling stations to vote as much as possible.
Certainly. Some great perspectives there, Dr. Bona, but do hold on for us. We'll be connecting also with the MP for Nshire, so Honourable Stephen Amoah.
Well, that was Dr. Adam Bona, Security Warehouse. Dr. Stephen Amoah is joining us now. Doc, thank you very much indeed for your time. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And how are the people of Nshire doing this afternoon?
By the grace of God, I'm on my way going there from Accra. But I know the if there's anything bad before.
Right.
But there's so much more.
What provoked you so much to pull a gun?
Somebody pulled a gun, without any provocation from my end. And, as a matter of fact, I had to also get ready to ensure that I was safe. And the person did not trigger, I did not trigger. The person went away, and I went away. It was very simple.
What was the bone of contention, Doc?
Honestly, there wasn't any remarkable issue, honestly. That community or that place is a hood. That has been harboring, I would say, drug addicts. You can go and check. You can even send your guys there.
Right.
You have a chief imam there, a queen, a chief, and they are all showing great concern, even to the extent that they want them to be moved by the police and the army. So that is the kind of area we are talking about. Right. But I had a different view. I think most of them are underprivileged. It's not their fault. So I have been building relationship with some of them. I go there, talk to them, sometimes give them some money. So this one was a different case. I was returning from a program that I had been invited to attend. It wasn't a rally.
Right.
Then I saw them gathering in front of one of the shops. So I had to go there, talk to them. And then one of them, presumably might be one of their leaders, raised a concern about a delayed AstroTurf project in their community, which was true.
Right.
And then initially he was a little bit angry, and I'm like, oh, it's not my fault. It's the fault of the contractor. So I'm not happy about it. And then he understood me quickly. When they asked me for money, I gave them money. So before I boarded my car, a number of them came from the community. That place is a small place within a community.
Right.
And then just small kiosks. And then initially I thought it was a positive heckling, politically. Then somebody pulled me, and that was the pulling or the pull wasn't anything that was
palatable.
Right.
I nearly fell. So I turned and I saw the guy move a few meters or feet from me, and then he pointed a gun, a real gun at me.
Right.
It was a pistol. The way he held it, if there had been a video, I'd have known that he's a young boy who has been trained. So I pulled my own, and I look at his first finger after the thumb to be sure that he will not move it, because I'm trained.
Right.
Anybody with a pistol, once he points the pistol at you, and you see his finger after the thumb moved, then he's ready to shoot.
Right.
He didn't do that. So he ran away after I had mine. I also went away. But people are changing the story like, oh, it was a toy gun. And have you forgotten about J.B. Dankwa? Have you forgotten about our own brother, Eze Mahama, the army guy? Have you forgotten about them? Supreme MP? Where are they? So sometimes I find it very, very, very intriguing and very, very disturbing when issues such as this, people think they want to trivialize it and joke with it. But thanks be to God, I'm alive. That's the most important thing.
Doc, what at the time you had about the examples you have mentioned, J.B. Dankwa, Kwanzaa of Infantsman Constituency, Major Mahama, that was what occasioned for you to be giving a bodyguard as a member of parliament and now as a deputy minister. Was your bodyguard with you at the time?
No, he was in the house. Honestly, thank God he wasn't there, because any bodyguard would have shot the boy. Honestly, honestly, let's be honest with ourselves. Thank God he wasn't there. He would have shot the guy. Because what intention? Why? What was the reason? There wasn't any. I hadn't insulted them. They hadn't insulted me. I hadn't attacked them. They hadn't attacked me. But they have a bad record in the community. Right. You can go and find out. These are not just normal. I'm not saying all of them, but most of them are on drugs. You can go and check. But we want to play with everything because it's not our lives. Right. But honestly, if somebody points a gun at you, I don't think you sit there and say that the person should kill you. But it's that you have put on your screen, RIP, rest in peace. Oh, Dr. Amwa. That's all that you have done. And then would have taken care of my child.
Right. Now, quickly, before I let you go, I know you have to get on the plane, but did you think that it was a safe thing for you to do, to have gone into a community knowing the background of the community alone without your bodyguard?
Oh, it's not like they see you. It was a daytime, and I've been going there sometimes, past there. Right. They hadn't done that to me. And this one was a strange thing, honestly. It was a strange thing. We are yet to find out. Now I'm picking a new, different piece of information, and I don't think I can concretize that. I'm hearing even the boy who did that. It's not part of the gang. Right. So I'm yet to find out. I've actually informed the police. We go and check. I learned he lives rather in the community. Okay. And that he has been also exhibiting these antisocial behaviors. So whether somebody asked him to do that to me is also a different matter. So if indeed he's not part of those guys who are drug addicts and they live in the community, it might have been that somebody asked him to do that to me. But you realize a lot of people are around, it was daytime, and I was also prepared. I also had a gun, so you had to run away.
Has this put some fear in you?
The most important thing is I'm alive. That's all.
Doc, has this put some fear in you?
Me? Oh, no, when you pull the gun there, of course. Instinctively. As a matter of involuntary response, I got this scared. But now I'm not. I'm not coward. I'm not a bad person, but I'm not coward. I'm extremely, once I'm right, I don't care. Anything that happens to you, you're serving the society, the community. I've done so much for the country. Even the associated you're talking about. Until I became MP, they had none. It's the #1 constituency in Ashanti. It's the most elite constituency. Right. They had no associated. The first one I didn't even use government. I used the banks to do one for them. And this one, I got support from Ghana Gas. And now even they are going to put the green thing on it. It was going to be 2 for them. So you do this and sometimes you suffer. These are some of the...
I hear you, Doc. Thank you. Thank you very much, Doc.
You have to suffer once you want to serve the people.
Thank you, Doc. We have to end it here. Dr. Stephen Amwa, MP for Nshai, so he's going for another round. Hopefully, he gets to win it. Well, Christian Yali has been with the Election Security Task Force chaired by Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare, his IGP. Chris is joining us via Zoom. Chris, good afternoon. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Johnny.
I know that a tent has been mounted for the security task force and for pressmen like yourself who will be detailed to monitor elections from that point to engage. Tell me some more. What do you know?
Exactly. So this is going to serve as the major point of contact when it comes to all security-related briefings that the task force is going to hold with the media as well as the public. And so when you get to the police headquarters, just around the Public Affairs Directorate, this tent has been mounted, first of its kind, and today happened to be the very first time it was used to hold a stakeholder discussion between the task force and members of the business community, including the Association of Ghana Industries, Ghana Union of Traders Association, as well as the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors. But I mean, what makes it interesting, Johnny, really is that when you enter this tent or this press center that is at the police headquarters, when you enter, it has been fitted with standing air conditioners, about 6 or more of them, to ensure that we have a very good room temperature to sustain those who are going to operate within the press center. It also comes with a public address system, what you call the PA system, i.e. speakers and microphones that are there. There are also very good chairs and tables that are there for operations. And when you enter, you see boldly written on the walls, "Please watch security," which means that the task force is going to oversee or is going to make sure that every aspect of security is well taken care of. And so this task force, we can mention a few of the security agencies that are involved. We know the police is one, the Ghana Prison Service is one, as well as the Ghana Immigration Service. We even have the Ghana Fire Service as well, which are all forming part of this, as well as the Ghana Armed Forces. And so it is really a strong force that has been formed to oversee the security of this election. And so this press center is going to run from the election eve through the election itself and even thereafter, because the police would have this constant engagement with the media and members of the public. Now, the police, I try to get some detail into how they are going to operate, really, but Grace and Sakrofi, who is the PR, tells me that at the right time, they will call the media to brief the media on how the operations of the press center of the Election Security Task Force is going to be. But for now, what we know is that it is ready for use.
Right.
And go to the environs of the task force press center, you see a couple of barricades that have been formed. And so it just means that not any person at all can be granted access. And we know that the task force itself has also worked on this same module for even the coalition centers. What it means is that for even the regional and then the constituency coalition centers, access to the coalition centers would be restricted to only persons who are mandated by law to be there, including the media. There has been a little uproar over the past few days, especially after the Electoral Commission announced a cap for the media by way of the number of persons or media organizations that will be allowed, and even issues surrounding the restriction to newspapers and online portals and what have you. And so the press center is ready. Great. Indeed.
Chris, I thank you very much indeed for your time. We're grateful for your time. That's Christine Yali. He's a man who's been on a beat at the Electoral Commission and the press center. Well, I Inspector General Police IGP Dan Paris at the Institute of Democratic Development Ghana and the National Peace Council event. They're signing a peace pact with the political parties. We'll cross over now and take a watch.
If you want to see the results that are coming out from this baseline analysis, from this mainstreaming of election security, and from this holistic blueprint towards election in the next 30 years, these are the records. On our watch, we have 3 major by-elections. And we did not pass the verdict. You did. And he said that those by-elections, in terms of its peace, security, and orderliness, it was first of its kind in the history of our democratic dispensation. That is the result of making sure that you re-examine your strategies and change course, because you cannot continue to do the same thing over and over and over again and expect different results. Again, Your Excellencies, with the same implementation of the blueprint, you've seen that you virtually gave all your internal elections to us. And all the political parties, with no exception, comes to us and say that it is in your hands, police and the other security agencies. We don't even want any of our internal security people to play any role. And the assurance that even we got, which gives us a lot of comfort, and also a registration of confidence in us, is that if anybody comes around and mess up, deal with him or her in accordance with law. And that we delivered. So we've walked the talk with all the by-elections, we've walked the talk with all your internal elections, and you yourselves at various fora give us the pass mark. We appreciate that, but we will not allow that also to eat the better part of us, because we know that it is a job that we need to continue doing in service of the good people of this country. Now coming to the election, the general elections, we have also been walking the talk at every stage of the election process, from EC registration, transfer of votes, exhibition of the register, and all that up to the movement of logistics. We've played the part that we're supposed to play in a manner that has also made us comfortable in terms of looking forward what is ahead. The few other issues that are left is the next 1 week, the rest of your campaign. It is our prayer that you continue to conduct ourselves in the way you have been doing, and we will also continue to provide the security that you need in ensuring that you go about telling people what you want to do when you have the opportunity to lead. In terms of the D-Day, as it was said, the blueprint, the D-Day, out of the blueprint, the D-Day planning that we've done, it spans 5,400 and over pages. A very detailed deployment strategy at the polling stations, at the collation centers, rapid response, and post-election activities in terms of the security arrangement for the investiture of the next government. So our assurance is clear. We are ready. We are very committed, but we need your help. We need your help, both in the form of prayer and also in the form of playing your role as an individual, as a political party, and as all the stakeholders involved in this process. So that at the end of the day, everybody will be satisfied with the outcome of the elections and everybody will accept the process. But we want to also assure you that the elections are having 12 candidates at the presidential level. Only one will win. The rest will have to try another time. 801 parliamentary candidates vying for a position of 276. Only 276 will win. That will not be the end of the world. In effect, those who will win and those who will lose at a point in our lives will come nowhere near those positions again and will fade away. But Ghana will continue to be Ghana for the sake of the rest of our lives and then the children that we so love. So we should remember this. We want to plead with you. We are overcommitted to make sure that at the end of the day, we will be given the pass mark again, this time higher than all what we have achieved with all the examples that we've cited. But we want you also to do your very best at the individual level, at the party level, and at any other stakeholder level, so that your contribution and my contribution put together will make us strong and continue to be the trailblazer for the rest of Africa and beyond. Don't let Ghana fade away. Because when Ghana fade away, we fade away with it. But let us do our best and fade away, because life is a stage, and when we show up at the stage, at a point, we have to give way so that the next generation will follow and Ghana will continue, so that we will have said in history that we did not disappoint. Your Excellency, once again, my colleagues from the National Election Security Task Force want to assure the generality of Ghanaians that they should relax, and I mean relax, and be a Ghanaian and a full Ghanaian and be proud of yourself. That this one, it will be better than all the elections that has passed, if only you help us to play our role as we are doing, and also do yours. I thank you very much.
And that's the IGP, Dr. George Akufu-Dampare there at the Institute of the Democratic Development, Ghana, IDEG, and the Peace Council's Peace Pact there. Some good thoughts right there. But Helen has some voter education. Helen, don't you?
Absolutely. Again, we have some 9 days to go, so some much needed voter education for all of us. So we know exactly what to do on D-Day, December 7th, 2024. Okay, so we have that up here on the screen. Now, essential safety tips for Ghanaians ahead of the 2024 elections. Do not wear party colors or argue about politics in tense areas. Now, behave well at polling stations. Stay in line and don't carry dangerous items. Also, get updates from trusted sources and avoid sharing fake news. Of course, this is your election command center, so do be sure to tune in and get the right information. Also, plan your route to vote and avoid risky areas. Travel with others if you can. Also, stay calm in crowds and leave quickly if there is trouble. But let's zoom back to that very important...
we'll have to go back to the IDEC event because former President John Dramani Mahama is addressing the audience. Listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and fellow citizens, I've come here today to place on record my personal commitment and that of my party, the National Democratic Congress, to the sustenance of Ghana's peace. At the very outset, let me indicate that we in the NDC remain eternally committed to the building of a peaceful and prosperous country in which the aspirations of all our people can be met. Our active participation in this event is an indication of its importance in the overall effort to guarantee peace and ensure the preservation of our nation in the aftermath of the upcoming elections. We cannot emphasize enough the importance of maintaining peace throughout this process, before, during, and after. Peace is the foundation upon which our democracy is built, and it is essential that we preserve it even during these critical times. We're all too aware of the devastating consequences of electoral violence in other countries. We cannot afford to traverse that same path. As patriotic citizens, we have a collective responsibility to ensure that our country remains a beacon of peace and stability in our sub-region, and we in the NDC stand prepared to play our parts to achieve this. As citizens, we must recognize that our actions have consequences. While some verbal jousting is to be expected in our daily politicking, divisive language, hate speech, and inflammatory rhetoric that can incite violence should have no place. Temperance, tolerance, understanding, and respect for one another's opinions and beliefs should be the guiding principle upon which our politics is practiced. On our part, as political leaders, we must prioritize peace and unity in our campaigns and avoid unsubstantiated allegations and focus on issue-based campaigning. We must compete on ideas and not on insults. To our security agencies, I commend you for your tireless efforts in maintaining law and order, and I urge you to remain impartial and professional in your duties, ensuring that all citizens can exercise their rights to vote without fear or intimidation. To our media practitioners, I encourage you to promote balanced and accurate reporting, and we must avoid misleading the electorate by deceiving them that some parties are going to vote on one day and others are going to vote on another day. We must avoid sensationalism and speculation and focus on providing credible information that promotes peace and understanding. I also wish to commend the Electoral Commission for the cooperation we have enjoyed so far, and it is my hope that all electoral officers will conduct themselves in a manner that is impartial and neutral in order to avoid any disputes. However, it is all well and good for us to commit to peace and recite beautiful platitudes. All the efforts at building peace before, during, and after the 2024 elections would come to naught or be undermined if there is mistrust and insincerity. Mistrust is built through a mismatch between words and gaslighting on the part of those in authority. There is reason to be concerned that the signing of this pact, though well-intentioned, could amount to nothing if it is not followed by concrete actions to guarantee the peace by the stakeholders and government. Events and happenings during the last election and during the Awaso West Wuogon by-election create considerable doubts about the genuineness of some of the commitments that we might make today. We all recall the appalling spectacle of mass men acting on the orders of operatives of government, shooting indiscriminately at innocent Ghanaians, going about their legitimate electoral activity during that by-election. Some of the victims of that shooting incident remain incapacitated up till now. The refusal by government to act on the recommendations of the Emil Short Committee do not inspire confidence in Ghanaians that government truly believes in peace. Again, the inaction of government in the face of the murder of 8 of our citizens during the last election casts a shadow of doubt on government's commitment to maintain the peace. How are we to believe that such killings will not reoccur during this election as well? There also remains the vexed question of the use of thugs dressed in security service uniforms to intimidate and brutalize citizens during elections. How can we tell these thugs from the professional members of the security services, especially when they carry no name tags and they conceal their faces with facial masks, popularly called Azugu masks? I'll suggest to the IGP to instruct the arrest and detention of any such persons during the election and to be kept until the election is over. These are legitimate questions that must satisfactorily be accounted for to give true meaning to this peace pact, lest it remains just a piece of paper. We in the NDC have in the recent past expressed the above reservations, and we look forward to hearing conclusively on the steps taken to address these. In conclusion, let us all pledge to promote peace during these elections. Let us work together to create an environment that is conducive for free, fair, and peaceful elections. We owe it to ourselves, to our children and future generations to preserve the peace and stability that our dear country Ghana has enjoyed for so long. God bless our homeland Ghana. I thank you.
That's the former president, John Dramani Mahama, is also the NDC's candidate going into the 2024 elections, with only 9 days to go. And before him was the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare, IGP, head of the Security Task Force there. So you're going to hear different speeches, you know, as they get ready to sign the National Peace Council and the IDEX Peace Pact on that platform. There's another one, I'm sure, on the 1st of December that's going to be signed. His raised concerns about, you know, what's going on. Well, let's listen to the Vice President and the APP's flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Osman Nuhu Sharbotu, His Excellency, the former President, John Dramani Mahama, Her Ladyship, Justice Gertrude Araba Esabasaki Tokono, His Excellency, Dr. Mohammed Ibn Chambers, African Union High Representative for Silencing Guns, Mrs. Jean Adukwe Mensah, Chair of the Electoral Commission, presidential candidates here present, the Reverend Ernest Edujemfi, Board Chairman of the National Peace Council, Mr. George Amo, Executive Secretary of the National Peace Council, Dr. Emmanuel Akwete, Executive Director of IDEC, Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare, the IGP, Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Nime, Name, Nananum, traditional rulers, distinguished invited guests, friends of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Since the dawn of the Fourth Republic in the early 90s, Ghana has been a model democracy and an inspiration to many across the African continent and beyond. This feat is not by chance. It is due to the continuous efforts of our leaders, institutions, and citizens who understand the value of peace as the bedrock of national progress. In this light, it is fitting for us to show appreciation to the National Peace Council, the Institute of Democratic Governance, IDEC, and all who worked tirelessly to ensure we are here today. As we acknowledge the efforts of others, we must also endeavor to contribute our due. That is why the signing of the 2024 Presidential Peace Pact is profoundly significant. Every general election in Ghana since 1992 has had its own dynamics, and the stakes are always high. But we have never turned our backs on democracy, because that is the path we have chosen for ourselves, and it is the right way to go. Admittedly, democracy goes beyond periodic elections. However, in relatively young democracies like ours, every election presents an opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to the Constitution and the rule of law. So far, each time we head to the polls, we have passed the test. We have shown that it is possible to rise above our differences and unite for the sake of our country. As we head into the December 2024 polls, the 9th presidential election in Ghana, 9 days from today, I am certain of two outcomes. Ghana will win and peace will reign. We have been here before and can prove again that Ghana is a shining example of a resilient democracy. As we approach the home stretch for the elections 2024. My plea to everybody involved in the electioneering process, including candidates, political parties, electoral officers, voters, the media, security, and the general public, is to take responsibility for ensuring peace and harmony seriously, and to demonstrate that we are not reluctant Democrats. My hope, and that of the MPP, is that we will come out of this election stronger as a nation. We are hopeful all sides will take some positive steps to preserve the unity, peace, and stability of this country. We owe our people, particularly the teeming youth, that duty of care. Only in this way would our resolve to create better and enduring opportunities for this future and for the future generations be guaranteed. The eyes of the world are on Ghana. The world is watching, hoping Ghana will rise again to the occasion, stand tall and shine bright as the star of Africa. I am full of hope that all of us leaders and our followers will live up to the peace pact we are going to sign today. And I encourage the security services who are doing an excellent job, and the media and all stakeholders to do all they can to ensure and preserve the peace. I would like to end by emphasizing that the only reason we seek power is to use it to deliver prosperity to the people of this country. I therefore wholeheartedly pledge my commitment to working within the rules and to collaborate with all to ensure a peaceful election. I extend love to all my opponents and invite them to let us collectively show love to the people of Ghana by embracing civil and peaceful approaches during every phase of the electioneering process. Finally, I would like to share this quote from Mahatma Gandhi, and I quote, "The day the power of love overrules the love for power, the world will know peace." I stand for peace and development. Peace is possible. Thank you for your attention. God bless you, and God bless our homeland, Ghana.
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia there, the MPP's candidate, and you could see Dr. Emmanuel Akwete, Executive Director of IDEC, right behind him there. So this to set the tone for peace, right. And you find both leaders, talk about peace. The IGP setting the tone on the security landscape, but both leaders, at least of the two major political parties, going into this election, setting the tone, and he ending with a quote from Mahatma Gandhi. Well, these are very heavy and choicy words.
That's right.
But as to whether it will trickle down to the supporters who will follow through with what their leaders think is a different ballgame altogether. And if you could tell from the tone of former President Mahama, he still is insisting that justice must be done.
That's right.
They've been raising certain concerns. They have not been heeded to, but that notwithstanding, they will still go ahead and sign, hoping that the wrongs will be set right.
Certainly.
Dr. Bawumia says, well, Ghana will be, the whole world will be watching, so let's do what's right. But what's right? That's the big question. What's right?
Indeed, and going back to former President Mahama, he's given the IGP some homework to do ahead of December 7th. So, as also Dr. Bawumia says, the whole world will be watching to ensure that it's peaceful on December 7th.
Absolutely. Well, we have to wrap up at this point. Done with some voter education. We gave you the flashpoints to look out for. We gave you some more detail. We had conversation with security analysts and our own panelists. Well, we will get on to, we'll take you back to the IDEC and National Peace Council event, but we'll have to kiss you goodbye at this point and then see you hopefully tomorrow. My name is Johnny Hughes and I've been here with
Helen Apia Ampofu. Stay engaged, informed and committed to peace come December 7th.
This is Ghana Decides.